Sometimes the deepest betrayal doesn't come from enemies, but from the people we trust the most. This is the story of how my own best friend betrayed me, and how I turned her lies into her downfall. If you love true revenge stories, don't forget to subscribe for more. My name is Sophia Carter, and if you had met me 3 years ago, you would have thought I had the perfect life. I had a stable job at a respected company, a small circle of loyal friends, and one person I trusted more than anyone in the world, Claire. Claire wasn't just my best friend. She was like a sister to me. We had gone through college together, shared secrets, laughed until we cried, and stood by each other in hard times. I never doubted her loyalty, not for a second. If someone had told me that one day she would stab me in the back, I would have laughed in their face. But life has a cruel way of teaching you lessons you don't want to learn. It all started when a promotion opened up at work. The company was looking for someone to head a new project, something big, something career-defining. I had been working tirelessly for months, taking on extra responsibilities, and even my manager had hinted that I was the strongest candidate. Claire worked in the same department, and though she was competent, she didn't have the same record of hard work that I did. Still, I encouraged her to apply. Why not? I told her. We'll both try, and whoever gets it will deserve it. She smiled at me, her eyes lighting up. Sophia, you're the best. You've always believed in me. I didn't know it then, but that smile hid something darker. The weeks leading up to the decision were intense. Meetings, presentations, strategy sessions, I poured my heart into everything. I even stayed late to help Claire with her work, because that's what friends do, right? She'd often lean over my desk and whisper, "I don't know how you do it, Sophia. You make everything look so easy." I thought it was admiration. Now I know it was envy. When the day of the final presentation came, I felt nervous but ready. My slides were perfect, my pitch was polished, and I knew I had given it my all. But when Claire stood up to present, my blood ran cold. Because her presentation was mine. Not word for word, but close enough. The structure, the ideas, even some of the phrasing, it was all too familiar. I sat frozen in my chair, my heart pounding in my ears. She had taken everything I had shared with her in confidence and repackaged it as her own. The managers applauded her. She looked radiant, confident, powerful. And when it was my turn, I stumbled. My ideas sounded repetitive because she had just delivered them. The room wasn't impressed. By the end of the week, the announcement came: Claire had been promoted. Everyone congratulated her. She hugged me tightly and whispered, "Thank you for always believing in me." I smiled weakly, hiding the storm raging inside me. That night, alone in my apartment, I cried harder than I ever had in my life. It wasn't just about the promotion. It was about betrayal. My best friend, the one person I trusted more than anyone, had stolen from me, lied to everyone, and gotten away with it. At least, that's what she thought. Because I wasn't going to let her win. No. If Claire wanted war, then war is exactly what she would get. And so began my journey, not just to take back what was mine, but to show her, and the world, that betrayal always comes with a price. After Claire's promotion, everything in the office shifted. She walked with a new kind of arrogance, heels clicking against the marble floors like a drumbeat announcing her power. She started giving orders, interrupting meetings, and talking down to people who had once been her equals. But the worst part? She treated me like I was beneath her. At first, I tried to brush it off. She's just stressed, I told myself. It's a big responsibility, and maybe she'll adjust. But deep down, I knew the truth: the betrayal had changed her. She wasn't my friend anymore. She was my rival. And rivals don't play fair. Within weeks, she began systematically erasing me from important projects. She'd schedule meetings without telling me, take credit for work I'd done, and spread subtle rumors that I wasn't a team player. Colleagues started looking at me differently, like maybe I wasn't as capable as they once thought. One day, I overheard her in the break room. "She's just not leadership material," Claire said casually to another manager. I mean, Sophia's nice, but she cracks under pressure. You need someone strong for this job. My hands clenched into fists. The audacity of it, after everything I'd done for her, after everything she'd stolen, she was now painting me as weak. That was the moment I stopped crying at night. That was the moment I stopped doubting myself. And that was the moment I started planning my revenge. The first step was patience. Revenge isn't about striking quickly, it's about striking at the perfect moment. If I acted too soon, I'd look bitter, jealous, maybe even paranoid. No, I had to wait. I had to let her dig her own grave. And oh, she did. As months passed, Claire's ego only grew. She started taking bigger risks, making decisions without consulting anyone, and cutting corners to impress the higher-ups. She thought she was invincible. Meanwhile, I quietly worked in the shadows. I documented everything: emails, reports, drafts of projects I had worked on that she had claimed as hers. I kept a private folder at home, far away from the office network. Every lie she told, every unethical move she made, I had proof. But evidence alone wasn't enough. I needed allies. So, I began rebuilding relationships in the office. Small conversations in the hallway, helping out coworkers with their workload, showing genuine support where Claire showed arrogance. Slowly but surely, people began to see the difference between us. She always has time to help, one colleague whispered after I stayed late to assist her. Unlike Claire, another muttered. The seed of doubt had been planted. Then came the turning point. Claire was overseeing a massive project for one of our biggest clients. The pressure was enormous, the kind of opportunity that could make or break a career. And true to form, she cut corners. She rushed through reports, ignored red flags, and even plagiarized entire sections of strategy from an online source. I knew because I had seen the same exact document online a week earlier. This was my chance. But I didn't move just yet. No, I needed the timing to be perfect. If I exposed her too early, she might spin the story, play the victim, and somehow escape. I had to wait until the stakes were at their highest. So I waited. When the client presentation day arrived, Claire strutted into the conference room in her designer suit, brimming with confidence. She spoke eloquently, her slides gleaming on the big screen. The executives nodded, impressed. But then, just as the meeting was about to close, I raised my hand. Excuse me, I said politely, my voice steady. I couldn't help but notice some of the material in this proposal looks familiar. In fact, I believe it matches a strategy document publicly available online. Gasps echoed around the room. The executives turned to me, shocked. Claire's face drained of color. Of course, I had the link ready. Within minutes, the truth was undeniable. Claire hadn't just bent the rules, she had broken them. The executives were furious. The client was embarrassed. And Claire? She was speechless. For the first time, the mask slipped. Her confidence shattered, replaced by fear. And in that moment, I knew, this was just the beginning. Because the higher they rise, the harder they fall. And I was going to make sure Claire fell so hard, she'd never recover. After the disastrous meeting, Claire tried to pretend nothing had happened. The executives were furious, but she smoothed things over by blaming a junior associate. She claimed she had delegated research and hadn't realized the material was copied. Some people bought the excuse, but not everyone. Whispers spread through the office like wildfire. Did you hear what happened with Claire's presentation? Plagiarism? That's serious. Honestly, I'm not surprised. She's always been more about appearances than substance. For the first time since her promotion, people were questioning her competence. And I made sure those doubts didn't fade. The next few weeks, I quietly highlighted her mistakes without making it obvious. If she missed a deadline, I politely reminded the team in an email, CCing the manager. If she skipped details in a report, I helpfully pointed them out during meetings. Always calm, always professional. On the surface, I looked like a supportive colleague. But behind the mask, I was tightening the noose. Claire, on the other hand, grew more reckless. Her temper flared easily. She snapped at assistants, belittled coworkers, and took credit for ideas she barely understood. The stress of holding her stolen crown was eating her alive. And people noticed. One afternoon, I walked into the break room and found two coworkers whispering. They didn't see me at first. "She's unbearable these days," one said. "Totally. And did you notice her numbers aren't even that good? Sophia's work is always cleaner." I smiled quietly to myself. The tide was turning. But Claire wasn't stupid. She sensed that something was slipping. One evening, long after most people had left the office, she cornered me at my desk. "You think you're clever, don't you?" she hissed, eyes blazing. "You think I don't know what you're doing?" I looked up, feigning innocence. "What do you mean?" "Don't play dumb with me, Sophia. I know you're trying to make me look bad." I let out a soft laugh. "Claire, you don't need my help to look bad. You're doing that all on your own." Her jaw tightened, fury twisting her face. For a second, I thought she might actually slap me. Instead, she leaned closer and whispered, "You'll regret this." She stormed off, heels echoing like gunshots in the empty office. I sat back in my chair, heart racing. She was right about one thing: this was war. The breaking point came when Claire mishandled another big client. She had promised them results she couldn't deliver, oversold her department's capabilities, and ignored warnings from her team. By the time the executives realized how badly she'd messed up, it was too late. The client pulled the contract, costing the company thousands. The executives were livid. They held an emergency meeting. Claire tried to spin the story again, blaming her team, but this time no one bought it. Too many people had seen her arrogance, her shortcuts, her lies. And that's when I made my move. I presented my folder of evidence, emails, drafts, documents she had stolen from me, records of her mistakes. Calm, organized, undeniable. The room was silent as I laid everything out. Finally, one of the senior executives turned to Claire. "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" She opened her mouth, but no words came. Her empire of lies had collapsed. That night, as I walked out of the office, the air felt different. Lighter. For months, I had carried the weight of betrayal, anger, and humiliation. Now, justice was finally catching up to her. But I knew this wasn't the end. Because revenge? It's not just about taking someone down. It's about making sure they never rise again. And I wasn't finished with Claire. Not yet. The morning after I presented my evidence, the office was buzzing with rumors. Claire had been summoned to a closed-door meeting with the senior executives. She walked in with her usual confidence, head held high, but when she came out 2 hours later, she looked like a ghost. Pale, shaken, and silent. She avoided everyone's eyes as she marched straight to her office and slammed the door. By noon, everyone knew. Claire had been suspended pending investigation. People whispered in the hallways, glanced at me curiously, and shared knowing looks. No one said it out loud, but we all knew this was the beginning of the end. For the next few days, Claire's office sat dark and empty. Her nameplate still hung on the door, a hollow reminder of her fall from grace. Meanwhile, I kept working as if nothing had happened. Professional. Calm. Focused. But inside, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Satisfaction, of course, justice was finally catching up with her. But also sadness. Because once upon a time, she had been my best friend. Still, betrayal has consequences. And Claire was about to face every single one. The investigation was brutal. HR combed through her emails, her projects, her communications with clients. Everything I had collected, the stolen ideas, the plagiarized documents, the missed deadlines, was confirmed. When the verdict came, it was swift. Claire was terminated effective immediately. The day she came to clear out her office, I watched quietly from my desk. She carried a small box of belongings, framed photos, a plant, a few books. Her eyes were red, but her expression was hard. For a moment, our eyes met. And in that look, I saw everything: anger, regret, humiliation. She opened her mouth as if to say something, but then shut it and walked away. Just like that, she was gone. The office felt different without her. Lighter. Calmer. People who had once tiptoed around her arrogance now worked with relief. My colleagues respected me more, trusted me more. Some even apologized quietly. "You should have gotten that promotion in the first place," one admitted. "Claire fooled us all," another said. I smiled politely, but inside, I burned with determination. Yes, Claire was gone. But I wasn't done. Because revenge isn't complete when your enemy loses their job. Revenge is complete when they lose everything. Over the next few weeks, I kept tabs on Claire through mutual contacts. Word spread that she was struggling to find work. The industry was small, and once her reputation for plagiarism and poor leadership got out, no one wanted to hire her. She bounced between interviews, freelance gigs, and even tried starting her own consulting business, but clients quickly realized she didn't have the skills she claimed. One by one, doors slammed shut in her face. And me? I got the promotion she had stolen. It wasn't official right away, but my hard work and integrity had finally been recognized. The executives knew I was the right choice all along, they just hadn't seen the truth before. Now, they did. I walked into my new office with pride. The same office Claire had once ruled from, now mine. I ran my fingers along the desk, took a deep breath, and smiled. Poetic justice. But just when I thought the story was over, fate surprised me again. One evening, as I left the building, I spotted Claire sitting on the steps outside. She looked nothing like the polished, powerful woman she had been. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes wrinkled, and her eyes hollow. When she saw me, she stood quickly, blocking my path. "Sophia," she said, her voice cracking. "Please. Just listen." I hesitated. Every instinct told me to walk away. But curiosity held me there. She poured out her misery, how she couldn't find work, how everyone had turned against her, how she was drowning in debt. Tears streaked her face as she whispered, "I made a mistake. I was jealous, stupid. I ruined everything. Please, can't we just start over?" For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered the lies, the stolen ideas, the humiliation she had put me through. I straightened my shoulders and looked her in the eye. "Claire," I said softly. "You didn't just ruin your career. You ruined our friendship. And some things can't be fixed." Her face crumpled. She reached out as if to grab my arm, but I stepped back. "Goodbye, Claire." And with that, I walked away, leaving her standing there in the cold night air. As I drove home, I realized something important. Revenge isn't about destroying someone in one strike. It's about letting them destroy themselves, while you rise higher than ever before. And that's exactly what had happened. Claire's downfall was complete. And my rise was just beginning. After Claire's final plea, I didn't see her again for a while. Life moved on, and for the first time in years, I felt truly free. The office flourished under my leadership. People respected me, trusted me, and actually wanted to work as a team. Instead of fear and arrogance, I built an environment of collaboration and growth. We hit milestones faster than ever, won back clients who had left under Claire, and even attracted new opportunities. It felt good, no, it felt incredible, to walk into that building every morning with my head held high, knowing I had earned every ounce of success. But even as my career soared, a part of me remained haunted. Sometimes late at night, I'd think about Claire. Where was she? What was she doing? Did she ever truly regret what she had done, or was she just bitter about being caught? I got my answer sooner than I expected. One weekend, I attended a networking gala in the city. It was one of those fancy events, people in elegant dresses, champagne glasses clinking, soft music playing in the background. I was mingling with executives and industry leaders, feeling more confident than ever. Then I saw her. Claire. She was standing near the bar, wearing a dress that was a little too cheap for the setting, her hair styled in a way that screamed desperation rather than class. She was talking to a small group, laughing too loudly, trying too hard. I watched quietly from across the room. At first, no one seemed to recognize her. But then someone whispered her name, and I saw the shift in the group's faces. They exchanged quick glances, muttered excuses, and drifted away, leaving her standing alone with a forced smile. My chest tightened, not with pity, but with something sharper. This was her reality now. Not respected, not admired. Just a fallen star, burned out and forgotten. She spotted me across the room. For a moment, her face froze. Then she looked down quickly, as if she couldn't bear the weight of my gaze. I didn't approach her. I didn't need to. Because sometimes the greatest revenge is silence. In the months that followed, my life only grew brighter. I traveled for work, spoke at conferences, and even began mentoring younger women in the company. People looked up to me, admired me, even called me an inspiration. I could have shouted the truth from the rooftops, told everyone how Claire had betrayed me, how I had taken her down. But I didn't. Because revenge had already been served. Claire was her own punishment. One rainy evening, as I walked home, I passed by a small diner near my apartment. And there she was again, sitting alone at a corner table, staring blankly at a cup of coffee. She looked older somehow, worn out, like life had drained the spark out of her. For a moment, I stood outside in the rain, watching her through the glass. Part of me wanted to walk in, sit across from her, and say something. Anything. But what? I forgive you? That wouldn't be true. I told you so? Too cruel. In the end, I just walked away. Because the truth is, Claire was no longer part of my story. She had written herself out the moment she chose betrayal. And me? I was living proof that success is the sweetest revenge of all. Yet, deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't quite the end. Because people like Claire, they don't just disappear. They linger. They wait. They scheme. And though I had won the battle, I couldn't help but wonder, was the war truly over? Just when I thought the storm had passed, life decided to test me again. It had been almost a year since Claire vanished from the corporate world. I had grown into my role, stronger and more confident than ever. My team was thriving, our projects breaking records, and my reputation in the industry had skyrocketed. But then, she came back. It started with whispers. At a conference in New York, someone mentioned Claire's name. She's working at a new startup, they said. Trying to rebuild her career. At first, I didn't care. She had every right to start over. But as the weeks passed, the whispers grew louder. Apparently, Claire wasn't just working, she was trying to climb her way back into the spotlight. And worse, she was using my name. She says you two were partners, a colleague told me. That she mentored you, trained you, and that your success came from her guidance. I froze when I heard that. My blood boiled. Even after everything, she was still trying to twist the story. The real blow came when one of my clients called me late one evening. Sophia, we've been approached by Claire, the client said cautiously. She claims she was the real brain behind the projects you led, that you only succeeded because of her. She's offering to handle our next contract. I nearly dropped the phone. It was happening again. The lies, the manipulation, the betrayal, just like before. For a moment, fear gripped me. What if people believed her again? What if history repeated itself? But then I caught my reflection in the glass window of my office. And I didn't see the scared, insecure woman I used to be. I saw someone stronger. Someone who had already defeated Claire once. And I knew I could do it again. This time, though, I chose a different path. Instead of confronting her head-on, I let her speak. I let her tell her twisted version of the story. And while she did, I quietly gathered proof, emails, reports, contracts, testimonies from my team and clients. It was déjà vu, but I was no longer the victim. I was in control. The real turning point came during a major industry panel. Claire managed to secure a speaking slot, and she used it to boast about her legacy in the field. She even had the audacity to mention my name, hinting that she had shaped my career. When she finished, the room clapped politely. But then it was my turn to speak. And I came prepared. I didn't attack her directly. I didn't need to. Instead, I presented a case study, our most successful project. I shared timelines, records, and acknowledgements, all of which clearly showed who had done the work. I praised my team by name, highlighted their contributions, and carefully, without ever saying Claire, erased her lies with undeniable truth. By the end of my presentation, the audience wasn't just clapping. They were standing. Claire sat in the corner, her smile frozen, her face pale. For the second time, I had taken everything from her, not with anger, not with vengeance, but with facts, proof, and the undeniable weight of success. Later that evening, I saw her in the hallway. She stopped me, her voice trembling. "You just can't let me have anything, can you?" she hissed. I looked her straight in the eye and said softly, "You had everything once, Claire. You destroyed it yourself. Don't blame me for your downfall." And then I walked away. Because I finally understood the truth, Claire wasn't my enemy anymore. She was her own. But even as I closed that chapter, I couldn't help but feel a chill. Because if there was one thing I had learned, it was that Claire never truly gave up. And something told me, our story wasn't finished yet. Months passed after that panel, and for the first time in years, I truly felt free. Claire's shadow no longer loomed over me. My career was thriving, my team stronger than ever, and my life outside of work, something I had neglected for so long, was finally blossoming too. I had found peace. But fate, as always, wasn't done with me yet. One rainy afternoon, I received an email. It wasn't from Claire directly, but from someone at her new company. They wanted to partner on a project. At first, I thought it was a trap. Why would Claire ever agree to work with me again? But curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed to a meeting. When I walked into the sleek glass office, I barely recognized her. Claire sat at the table, thinner, paler, her once bright eyes clouded with something I had never seen before, defeat. For a moment, I almost pitied her. Almost. "Sophia," she said softly, her voice missing its usual sharpness. "I asked you here because I don't have many options left." I stayed silent, watching her carefully. She continued, "I burned every bridge. My reputation is destroyed. The only person people still trust in this industry is you." Her words stung, not because of pity, but because of the bitter irony. After everything she had done to break me, now she was admitting I was the one still standing. "I'm not here to beg," she added quickly. I wanted you to know that I regret it. All of it." For the first time, Claire looked human. Not the ruthless, toxic boss who had stolen my work and tried to destroy me, but a broken woman who had lost everything. I took a deep breath, weighing my options. A part of me wanted to spit the words she had once thrown at me, "You're nothing without me." But instead, I said something she didn't expect. "I don't hate you anymore, Claire. But I will never forget what you did. And I'll never trust you again." Her eyes filled with tears, and for a second, I thought she might completely break down. But I didn't stay to see it. I walked away, leaving her to face the ruins she had built with her own hands. That day, I learned something important: true revenge isn't about crushing your enemy. It's about living so well that their attempts to destroy you only make you stronger. Claire had stolen my ideas. She had tried to bury me. She had humiliated me in front of everyone. But in the end, she lost everything, while I rose higher than ever. Looking back now, I don't see Claire as the villain of my story anymore. She was the lesson. And thanks to her, I became unstoppable. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button bell, drop a like, thumbs up, and share it with your friends. More true revenge stories are coming soon, and trust me, you won't want to miss them.